You said you got to turn them around, right, and face them toward the door?
Goodness.
There's Andrew with his emotional support.
Yeah.
I think he's the cat's emotional support. That's a needy cat. You know, those animals have you controlled like little kids. Have you controlled.
Well, we've got about 10 minutes of class left. I don't want everyone to pack up and leave while I'm doing this, so I'll try to keep it quick. Oh, compensation is broken, y'all. I'm Joshua James, and mine is on compensation. That's my little attention grabber, right? Compensation is broken. Wouldn't it be nice if we could see the fruits of our labors? And wouldn't it be nice if we had agreements that were clear versus unspoken expectations? All right, so I've got a handful of things to talk about. We're going to go over the 6 different kinds of compensation that are mentioned in our book. And I also have a couple of companies to talk a little bit about. So for starters, we've got merit pay, incentive pay, profit sharing, ownership, gain sharing, and skill-based. Those are the 6 different kinds of compensation. And when you think about merit pay, that's what a lot of government workers experience. I'm not sure how that translates out into the rest of the world, but I experience that quite a bit. And so you see that about once a year, you'll have a major change based on the value that you contributed in the previous year and what they expect you to contribute in the next year. The second one is incentive pay. And so you might have incentives. If you accomplish XYZ goal, then you'll get some kind of bonus that week or that month. The third one is profit sharing. And profit sharing, that's sharing in the profits of the company. Pretty self-explanatory, and that can definitely help with buy-in if people know that they're going to be receiving a share of the profits. The fourth one is ownership, and so that's when you actually get stock in the company. I think that Latrina mentioned some folks that got stock in their company and ended up doing really, really well. They got stock early on. And the fifth one is gain sharing. So this is interesting in that it can be broken down into smaller groups, and it's not necessarily based on the profit of the company, but if a group reaches some production goals, then they might, as a standalone unit, get a share as compensation added to their normal compensation. And the last one is skill-based. So say your company has a baseline and they're going to give you an increase if you get your MBA, right? Regardless of how much you contribute when you get back, you got that MBA, so we're going to give you a bump in your base salary. So that is something to watch out for with skill-based, is you can just say, hey, what certifications do I need to maximize my pay? And then I may or may not contribute commensurate with the compensation I'm now receiving. So that's something to watch out for. And again, in efforts to keep this short and sweet, I'll go ahead and move on to a couple of examples of companies. So Best Buy used to have something called ROWE, which is Results Only Work Environment.
Okay.
And if you look into the details of that, it actually sounds like a really sweet gig. You can get into the weeds with Best Buy and figure out why they chose to go back away from that. But in doing some research, I found that the people that had it for a few years really, really liked it. And it's interesting in that it doesn't just necessarily fall neatly into one of our categories. So I would offer that you could put it into the incentive pay bracket, but the pay is not fiscal, it's temporal. If you have a results-only work environment, and you know I've got to get X, Y, and Z done this week, if you get it done in 27 hours, your pay is temporal. You're done. results only. But at the same time, you're sharing some risk in that if you don't get it done, it takes you 52 hours that week, then it took you 52 hours, right? So you're incentivized to get it done efficiently and effectively. And a lot of people really liked that. They felt like they had some control over their environment. They could work for themselves in that if they got done early, they were done. So I thought that was really interesting. Another company I want to talk about is Spay Experts. And they've really embraced a version of this gain sharing. And it's pretty cool in that they go down to a pretty tight little unit of about 4 or 5. And the owner takes a certain percentage of the profits and he distributes it amongst the work groups. And within each work group, they have their own numbers that they're trying to make. And so if they make their numbers, then they get a percentage of the profits, right? So that gain sharing, they're participating, there's ownership involved. He's really taken it down to a fine-toothed level, but that helps to keep away from that free rider effect that I mentioned when I was leading the class the other day. When it's that small of a unit, 4 to 5 people, where can you hide, right? If you're not doing your job, they're gonna go to the next level and say, hey, this person's not pulling their weight and they're participating and they're getting the same benefits that the other 3 people or 4 people are. So that's a couple of examples. You could also throw a little bit of the skill-based in with Spay Experts in that there are certain certifications. It's similar to nursing. If you get a higher level, then you can expect a little bit of a base pay increase. And he's also experimenting with ownership. One of his employees is at a high managerial level, and he's encouraging her to buy another physical location so that they can open up another Spay Experts and she can be the owner of the property. And it starts to get a little bit complex, but it's very, very interesting. He's really trying to take advantage of all these things in a good way, not just for profit, but for his people and for the cause. So I thought Spay Experts was a really cool example. All right, so we talked about Spay Experts, we talked about Best Buy, a little bit of results-only work environment, Row. That's something kind of new and cool that you could research a little more. We talked about the 6 different kinds of compensation that we have in our book. That's merit pay, incentive pay, profit sharing, ownership, gain sharing, and skill-based pay. And I started with compensation's broken, but you can make a difference.
You done?
I'm done!
Oh.
7 minutes and 49 seconds. I was trying to keep it short.
You did.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't he have a good presentation ability without a PowerPoint?
Yes.
That was very impressive, very good. Any questions?
You guys are ready to go, huh? It's like, we got 2 more minutes. I have no questions.
Well, it's been y'all have done a really amazing job. Every one of you have done very well. I've enjoyed it so much.